My name is Tom Fuller. I am 42 years old. For 15 years, I worked at Vance Capital. I was a senior data analyst. I ran the back-end systems. I made sure the numbers matched. I was good at my job. I was quiet. I was reliable. Marcus Vance was the CEO. He was all teeth and charisma. He spoke at conferences. He wore $3,000 suits. I wore button-down shirts from a department store. We were different. My wife, Alina, worked there too. She was in marketing. She loved the energy. She loved the parties. I saw her drawn to Marcus. I saw the way he looked at her. I told myself it was work. I told myself I was tired. I came home early one Tuesday. It was our anniversary. I had flowers. The house was empty. Her car was gone. Her closet was half empty. Her toothbrush was gone. There was no note. There was only her wedding ring on the kitchen counter. It sat next to a small white envelope. It was not a letter. It was a legal document, a petition for divorce. I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. I called her office. Her assistant said she was in a meeting. I sat on the floor of our kitchen. I stared at the ring. The house was silent. The next morning I went to work. I had the divorce papers in my briefcase. I felt sick. I felt hollow. I walked to Alina's office. The door was closed. I knocked. No answer. I went to my desk. My computer was locked. My password did not work. I called it. They put me on hold. 10 minutes later, 2 security guards approached my desk. They were large men. They did not look friendly. One of them, Frank, I knew. He would not meet my eyes. "Tom, you need to come with us." They walked me to the elevator. They took my ID badge. They escorted me to the HR office on the 12th floor. The head of HR, a woman I did not know, sat behind her desk. She held a single piece of paper. "Tom, due to corporate restructuring and a conflict of interest, your position has been eliminated. Your employment is terminated effective immediately." I asked what conflict of interest. She did not answer. She slid the paper over. It was a severance agreement. It offered 2 weeks' pay. In exchange, I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. It specifically forbade me from contacting any employees. It forbade me from discussing Marcus Vance or Alina Fuller. My blood went cold. "Alina Fuller?" I asked. The HR woman's face was a mask. "Security will escort you from the building. Your personal items will be mailed to you." I did not sign the paper. The guards walked me out. I stood on the sidewalk at 9:30 a.m. I had no wife. I had no job. In 24 hours, my life was gone. 8. I spent 2 days in a fog. The apartment was a tomb. Her things were gone. Only my things remained. They seemed foreign. On the 3rd day, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered. It was Alina. Her voice was different. It was cold, bright. "Tom, I'm glad you answered. I need you to sign the papers. I'm sending a courier." I asked her why. I asked her what happened. "It just happened, Tom. I'm with Marcus now. We are together. He's taking care of me." I felt the floor drop out. "Marcus, our boss?" "He's more than that, Tom. He sees me. He appreciates me. You were stable. You were safe. I don't want safe." I asked her about 15 years. I asked her about our life. "That was your life, Tom. I was just living in it. Marcus is giving me my life." I could hear him in the background. His voice was deep. He was laughing at something. She was laughing with him. "Just sign the papers, Tom. It's easier for everyone." She hung up. I sat there. The rage came. It was not hot. It was ice. It filled my veins. She did not just leave me. She left me for him. He was my boss. He saw me every day. He shook my hand at the Christmas party. He patted me on the back when I finished the quarterly reports early. He was a snake. And she had chosen him. The betrayal was absolute. It was not just a cheating wife. It was a conspiracy. They had planned this. The conflict of interest. My termination. It was all a package. They wanted me gone. They wanted me erased. I thought about driving to his penthouse. I thought about breaking down the door. I thought about violence. My hands were shaking. I looked at my hands. They were analysts' hands. They typed on keyboards. They built spreadsheets. They did not punch. I knew I could not beat Marcus. He was bigger. He had security. He had lawyers. He had my wife. I could not fight him on his terms. He was a predator. I was not. But I was smart. I was methodical. He thought I was simple. He thought I was just the guy who ran the numbers. He was wrong. I needed to see him. I needed to see them together. I knew where they would be. The Vanguard restaurant, it was Marcus's place. He ate there 3 times a week. He held meetings there. He owned a piece of it. I put on my only good suit. It felt tight. I took a cab. I did not have a reservation. I stood outside across the street. It was raining. I watched the black cars pull up. I watched the valets run. I waited for an hour, then I saw them. Marcus got out of his black Mercedes. He wore a custom suit. He looked like a movie star. He opened the passenger door. Alina got out. She wore a red dress. I had never seen that dress before. It was expensive. Her hair was different. She looked polished. She looked like one of his trophies. He put his hand on the small of her back. He guided her into the restaurant. She leaned into him. She smiled up at him. It was a smile I had not seen in years. It was bright. It was also fake. I crossed the street. I walked into the lobby. The hostess stopped me. "Sir, do you have a reservation?" I looked past her. I saw them at a corner booth. They were drinking champagne. Marcus was holding her hand on the table. "I am here to see Mr. Vance." The hostess looked nervous. "He is in a private meeting, sir." I walked past her. I heard her call for security. I walked directly to their table. They looked up. Alina's face went white. The fake smile vanished. She looked terrified. Marcus just looked annoyed. He slowly put his glass down. "Tom, you are not welcome here. You are also violating your separation agreement." His voice was smooth, calm. He was not afraid of me. He was bored by me. "You took my wife," I said. My voice was quiet. The tables nearby went silent. "You took my job. You destroyed my life." Marcus sighed. He looked at Alina. "I told you he was unstable." He looked back at me. "Tom, let's be clear. I did not take Alina. She left you. She chose me. She chose a better life. You were a boat anchor she wanted to sail. As for your job, you became a liability, a whining, depressed liability. The company is better without you. Now leave." 2 security guards grabbed my arms. They were restaurant security. They were large. "You are a thief," I said, loud enough for the other tables to hear. Marcus's eyes narrowed. The charm was gone for 1 second. I saw the reptile underneath. "Get him out of here." The guards dragged me out. They threw me onto the wet sidewalk. My suit was torn. My knee was bleeding. I looked back through the window. Marcus was already calming Alina. He was pouring her more champagne. He was laughing. He did not even look toward the door. I was nothing. I was a bug he had swatted. As I sat on the cold, wet pavement, the ice in my veins hardened. He would not laugh for long. The next few weeks were a blur of gray. My small apartment became my world. The severance money was gone. I applied for jobs. Nobody called back. I was 42. I was an analyst from a company that fired me for cause. I was blacklisted. Marcus was thorough. I sold my car. I ate canned soup. I stopped answering the phone. The divorce papers sat on my coffee table. I refused to sign them. It was my last pathetic piece of control. I spent my days online. I read about Marcus Vance. He was everywhere. CEO of the year. Vance Capital posts record profits. Philanthropist Marcus Vance donates wing to City Museum. He was pictured with Alina. She was on his arm. She was smiling. They were the city's new power couple. They looked happy. They looked untouchable. I read about their new condo. I read about their trip to Monaco. I fell into a deep depression. The anger was gone. It was replaced by a vast, crushing emptiness. What was the point? He had won. He had everything. I had nothing. I was a ghost in my own life. I stopped shaving. I stopped showering. I just sat. The silence in the apartment was deaf. I thought about ending it. I thought about how easy it would be. Just stop. One night I was drinking the last of my cheap whiskey. I was deleting old files from my personal laptop. I found an old folder. Vance Projects. It was work I had brought home. I was not supposed to have it. It was from 2 years ago, a project Marcus had me run. A small acquisition, a tech company in Arizona. It was a simple deal. I was about to delete the folder. My finger hovered over the key. Something stopped me. I remembered that deal. It was strange. Marcus had been insistent on using a specific shell corporation for the purchase. Project Agila, he called it. At the time, I thought it was for tax reasons. Now I wondered. I opened the folder. It was just old spreadsheets, projections, due diligence files, nothing. Then I saw a stray file, a set of wire transfer authorizations. I had run them myself. Vance Capital to Project Agila LLC. Project Agila LLC to the tech company. But there was a third transfer, a small one, $50,000 from Project Agila to another account, an account I did not recognize. Alta Holdings. It was sloppy. It should not have been in that folder. I should not have saved it, but I had. I stared at that $50,000 transfer. It was nothing to a company like Vance Capital. It was noise, but it was wrong. It was a thread. It was the first thread, and I pulled it. The $50,000 transfer to Alta Holdings. It was a loose end. Marcus was not a man who left loose ends. This must have been a mistake. My mistake for copying it, his for making it. I went to the state registry website. I searched for Alta Holdings. It was registered in Delaware, of course. I paid the $20 fee for the corporate documents. The listed agent was a generic legal service. No names, no officers, a ghost. I was an analyst. I analyzed. This was a problem. I knew how to solve problems. I started digging. I used public records. I used search engines. I cross-referenced addresses. The address for Alta Holdings was a P.O. box in Wilmington. I searched for other companies at that P.O. box. Dozens, all ghosts. But one of them, Helios Group, had a filing in another state, a public utility filing in Montana. And on that filing a name, a low-level lawyer. I searched the lawyer's name. I found his law firm. The firm's website listed its partners. One of them was Marcus Vance's personal attorney, the same attorney who handled his divorce, the same attorney listed on the incorporation papers for Project Agila. It was a circle, a small, closed circle. Marcus was moving money to himself, or at least to his lawyer. $50,000 was not enough to matter, but why do it? Why the risk? I needed more data. I still had my old work laptop. The one security had mailed back to me in a box. They had wiped the main drive. They were thorough, but they were not me. I had built a partition on that drive years ago, a small hidden space where I kept my own tools, my scripts, my personal projects. They did not wipe the partition. They did not even know it was there. I booted the laptop from a USB drive. I accessed the partition. It was intact. And on it was a copy of my old email archive, a backup I had made a year ago. It was 30 gigabytes of data. It was every email I had sent or received for 10 years. It was contacts, it was reports, it was attachments. It was a digital map of Vance Capital. I started searching the archive. I searched for Alta Holdings. Nothing. I searched for Helios Group. Nothing. I searched for the lawyer's name. I found it, one email from Marcus to me, 3 years old. The subject was personal. The body was simple. Tom, please authorize payment for the attached invoice. Route it through the Phoenix account and code it to Consulting General. Handle it personally. The Phoenix account was Project Agila. The attached invoice was from Alta Holdings. The amount, $150,000 for market analysis. I never did market analysis. Alta Holdings did not exist. It was a direct, fraudulent payment, and I had processed it. My signature was on the digital authorization. He had made me his accomplice. My hands were shaking. I was complicit. I had authorized a fake invoice. I did not know it at the time. I was just following orders. Handle it personally. Marcus trusted me to be a good soldier. He trusted me to not ask questions. I had lived up to his expectations. Now that blind loyalty was my weapon. This was not just a small slush fund. $150,000, $50,000. This was a pattern. This was a system. This was fraud. I looked at the invoice again. Alta Holdings, the address, the bank account. It was a bank in the Cayman Islands, classic. This was not about $200,000. This was the tip. Marcus was skimming, but from where? Vance Capital managed $5 billion in client assets, pension funds, university endowments, rich families. The money was all segregated, all audited. Stealing from clients was too hard, too many eyes, so he had to be stealing from the company itself, from the profits. But how? I was the analyst. I saw the profit and loss statements. I saw the cash flow. I would have seen missing money. Unless the money never made it to the books. I thought about my old job, the flow of data. Money comes in, it gets logged, it gets invested. Profits come back. They are recorded. Expenses are paid. What if? What if he was skimming before it was recorded? I needed to see the raw data. The trade logs, the bank feeds. I did not have those. They lived on the company server, a server I could no longer access. I was locked out. I hit a wall. I had an old invoice and an email. It was circumstantial. It was not enough. It was my word against his, and I was a disgruntled, fired employee. He was Marcus Vance. I spent a week trying to hack the server. I tried my old passwords, I tried backdoors I thought I had left. They were all gone. He had a new IT team, they were good. They had scrubbed everything. I was truly out. I felt the despair returning. I had this one thread and it was tied to a steel door I could not open. I sat in my silent apartment. I looked at the divorce papers. Elena's name, Elena Fuller, soon to be Elena Vance. I felt the ice return. If I could not go through the door, I would find someone who was already inside, or someone who had also been kicked out. I needed a list of people Marcus had burned. I started searching. I used LinkedIn. I looked for former Vance Capital employees. I focused on people in operations, HR, and finance. People who had left in the last 5 years. I found dozens. Most had moved on to other firms, but some had not. Some had gaps in their resumes. Some had new, smaller jobs. I made a list of 10 names. I created a fake email account. I wrote a simple, non-threatening message. I am a researcher looking into corporate cultures at finance firms. I'm interested in Vance Capital. Would you be willing to speak anonymously about your experience? I sent 10 emails. I got 3 replies. 2 said no. 1 said maybe. Her name was Sarah Jenkins. She had been the head of HR. She had been there for 10 years. She had hired me. She left suddenly 2 years ago. The story was she wanted to spend time with her family. She was now an independent consultant working from her home. She agreed to meet me for coffee. She sounded wary. We met at a small, independent coffee shop, far from downtown. Sarah had changed. She looked tired. The professional polish was gone. She looked at me. "Tom, you look terrible," I nodded. "You too, Sarah," a small smile. "This is not about corporate culture, is it?" It was a statement. "No," I said. "It's about Marcus." Her face tightened. She looked around the shop. We were in a back corner. "What about him?" she asked. "He fired me. He took my wife." Sarah did not look surprised. "Elena, of course, I saw that coming," she said. "He has a type, ambitious, a little broken, easy to control." I flinched. She saw it. "Sorry, Tom, but it's true. He did the same to me." My head snapped up. "What?" "Not personally, professionally, I found things I was not supposed to find, about how he hired people, about how he paid people, specifically how he paid certain people, women, young women in consulting roles. They never showed up to the office. It was the same word, consulting. He had me create fake employment contracts," Sarah said. "He had me authorize salaries, all paid from a subsidiary account. Vance Global, a shell company." "Alta Holdings," I whispered. Sarah's eyes went wide. "How do you know that name?" "I have an invoice," I said. "Marcus had me pay it from a different shell, Project Agila." We stared at each other. We were 2 pieces of a puzzle. "He's not just unethical, Tom," she said, her voice low. "He's not just a pig, he's a thief. He's using the company as his personal bank. And he uses employees to do his dirty work. Then he fires them." "He made us accomplices," I said. "He made us disposable," she replied. "He fired me for gross incompetence when I told him I would not create another fake contract. He threatened to destroy my reputation. I had to sign an NDA just to get a single-month severance." Sarah still had contacts. She still had friends inside, low-level people in accounting, people who, like her, were overlooked. "I have some files," she said. "I backed up my work computer before they kicked me out." "Just like you, I'll bet." Sarah Jenkins became my partner. We met in secret at the library in Parks. We never met at my apartment or hers. We assumed we were being watched. It felt paranoid. It also felt smart. Sarah was meticulous. As an HR professional, she kept records of everything. She had performance reviews. She had salary data. She had copies of the fake employment contracts. "Look at this," she said one afternoon at a park bench. She handed me a file. It was a contract for a consultant, a 24-year-old woman. Her consulting fee was $25,000 a month. Her listed address was a luxury apartment building. Marcus owned a unit in that building. "There are 6 of these," Sarah said. "All young women, all consultants, all paid through Vance Global. That's $1.8 million a year, Tom, in untaxed, unaccounted for money." "It's his personal payroll," I said. Girlfriends, mistresses, who knows, but it's theft. It's more than that, Sarah said. She showed me another file, an internal audit of Vance Global. The subsidiary was supposed to be for international development. It had 0 international projects. It had 0 revenue. It was a black hole. Its only income was a massive, single management fee from the parent company, Vance Capital, $10 million a year. I saw that management fee, I said. I logged it every year. It was just a line item. Intercompany transfer. It's his slush fund, Sarah said. He moves $10 million of company money into his personal shell. Then he uses that shell to pay his consultants, to buy his toys, to pay for Alta Holdings. We had the how. He was using a poorly audited subsidiary. We had the what. At least $1.8 million a year in fake contracts plus my own invoices for Alta. But we still did not have the final piece. We could not prove the $10 million transfer was illegal. As CEO, Marcus had broad discretion to move company money. We needed to prove the subsidiary, Vance Global, was his personal property. We needed to pierce the corporate veil. We need bank statements, I said. We need to show the money from Vance Global went to him personally, not just to these consultants. We can't get those, Sarah said. They are locked down tight. Only Marcus and the CFO have access. The CFO, I said, Arthur Bell. He's loyal, Sarah said. He's been with Marcus for 20 years. He's untouchable. This was our new wall. We had the payroll. We had the shell company. We could not link it directly to Marcus's personal bank account. We had strong evidence of ethical violations. We had strong evidence of corporate waste. But we did not have fraud. Not yet. Not the kind that sends a man to prison. I was running out of money. The last of my savings was gone. I took a job, a night job. I stocked shelves at a 24-hour supermarket from midnight until 8 a.m. It was mindless work. It was humiliating. I would see men in suits come in at 6 a.m. to buy a paper. They looked like my old colleagues. I would hide in the soup aisle. But the job paid cash. It kept the lights on. It left my days free to work with Sarah. One evening I was walking home from the grocery store. My feet ached. My back was sore. I smelled like cardboard boxes. I passed a new art gallery. There was an opening. A crowd of people in expensive clothes spilled onto the sidewalk. They were drinking champagne, and I saw her. Alina. She was standing near the window. She was wearing a silver dress. She looked beautiful. She was talking to a group of people. She was animated, laughing. Marcus was not there. She was alone. She looked happy. She looked like she belonged. I stood across the street. I watched her. She was everything I was not. She was clean. She was successful. She was part of that world. I was the man who stocked their soup. I saw her look at her phone. Her smile faded. She typed a fast, angry message. She looked stressed. She looked up and scanned the street. Her eyes passed right over me. She did not see me. I was invisible. She put her phone away. The bright smile returned. She turned back to the group, a perfect mask. I walked home, that image of her face, the stressed, angry look. It stuck with me. Her new life was not perfect. The red dress and the silver dress were costumes. She was still Alina, ambitious, conflicted, and now she was tied to Marcus. I wondered if she knew. Did she know where the money for that dress came from? Did she know what he was, or did she just choose not to see? I felt a strange emotion. It was not anger, it was not love, it was pity. I felt sorry for her. She had traded a stable, quiet life for a golden cage. She was another one of his consultants, just with a different title. She was trapped. That thought did not bring me joy. It did not bring me peace. It just made the entire situation sadder. But it also hardened my resolve. Marcus did not just destroy. He corrupted. He took good people and broke them. He had to be stopped. We were stuck. We had the shell company, Vance Global. We had the $10 million annual transfer. We had the fake consultant payroll, but we could not get the bank statements. We could not get the final link. Arthur Bell is the key, I told Sarah. The CFO. He signs off on the transfers. He knows where the money goes. He's a fortress, Tom, she said. He's old school, loyal to a fault. We spent a week digging into Arthur Bell. We found nothing. He lived a quiet life, a modest house in the suburbs, married for 30 years, 2 kids in college, no vices, no debts. He did not gamble, he did not cheat, he was clean. He's not clean, I insisted. He's complicit. He's signing off on $10 million in fraud every year. Why? Maybe he's scared, Sarah suggested. Maybe Marcus has something on him. Or maybe he's getting paid, I said. We had no proof. We were back to zero. The trail was cold. The wall was high. I felt the exhaustion. The night shifts at the market were killing me. My hands were cracked. My brain was foggy. I was living on coffee and anger. One night I was sitting in my apartment. It was 3 a.m. I was too tired to sleep. I was just staring at the laptop. At the org chart Sarah had given me, Marcus at the top, Arthur Bell just below him. I thought about Arthur, quiet, professional, always wore a gray suit, always carried a leather briefcase. I remembered him in meetings. He rarely spoke. He just watched. He watched Marcus. I thought about my old email archive. I had searched it for Alta Holdings. I had searched it for the lawyer, but I had not searched it for Arthur Bell. I ran a new search. From Arthur Bell. There were hundreds of emails, quarterly reports, budget approvals, standard corporate chatter. I started reading them, one by one. It took hours. I read about server upgrades. I read about new software licenses. I read about expense reports. It was all boring. It was all normal. I was about to give up. Then I found one. An email from Arthur to me, 5 years old. The subject, security audit. The body, Tom, please see me in my office at 4 p.m. Do not bring your laptop. I remembered that meeting. It was strange. Arthur had closed his door. He asked me to run a full diagnostic on his office computer. He said it was running slow. I did. I found nothing. No viruses, no malware, but he seemed nervous. He kept watching the door. Is there anything else, Arthur? I had asked. He shook his head. No, thank you, Tom. Just delete any logs of this diagnostic. Let's keep this between us. At the time, I thought he was just a private man, a Luddite. Now I knew better. He was afraid. He was afraid of Marcus. He was afraid Marcus was spying on him. Why would the CFO be afraid of his boss spying on him? Unless the CFO had something to hide, or something he was afraid of hiding. Arthur Bell was our way in. He was not a fortress. He was a prisoner. Marcus had him trapped. But how? We needed leverage. We needed something Marcus did not have. We went back to digging. This time not into Arthur's finances, into his life. Sarah used her HR skills. She found his old personnel file. Buried in the data was a note about a leave of absence. 6 years ago, personal leave, 6 weeks. No other details. Around the same time, his wife had sold their large family home. They had downsized to the modest house. They had gone from wealthy to comfortable. Why? I went to the public court records. I searched Arthur Bell. Nothing. I searched his wife. Nothing. I searched his children. I found it. His son, his youngest son, 6 years ago, a charge. Possession with intent to distribute. He was a college kid. He had been caught with a large amount of party drugs. It was a serious charge, mandatory minimums, years in prison. I followed the case file. A high-priced lawyer appeared, a specialist. The charges were suddenly, miraculously reduced to simple possession. He got probation. No jail time. The case was sealed. Who paid for that lawyer? A lawyer like that cost a fortune, more than Arthur on his salary could afford. I searched the lawyer's name. I found his firm. I looked at the firm's client list, or rather they're in the news section. One of their biggest clients, Vance Capital, Marcus Vance. Marcus had paid for the lawyer. Marcus had saved Arthur Bell's son, and in return Arthur Bell belonged to him. Arthur was not loyal. He was indebted. He was compromised. This is it, I told Sarah. This is our leverage. Arthur is a good man, a family man. He's been living with this for 6 years. He hates Marcus. I know he does. So what? Sarah said. We can't use this. We can't blackmail him. That makes us just as bad as Marcus. We don't blackmail him, I said. We save him. We offer him a way out. We offer him redemption. We had to approach him. It was a huge risk. If he told Marcus, we were finished. We would be sued. We would be silenced. He won't, I said. He wants out. I saw it in his eyes 5 years ago. He is terrified. We are giving him a choice. go down with Marcus, or help us and be the man who stopped him. We prepared. We put all our data onto an encrypted hard drive. The invoices, the fake contracts, the $10 million transfer logs, the public records about his son. We put it all in one place. We had to do this perfectly. I waited for Arthur. I knew his routine. He left the office at 6 p.m. every day. He took the 6:15 p.m. train. I bumped into him on the platform. "Arthur," I said. He looked at me. His face was pale. He looked shocked to see me. "Tom, I heard. I'm sorry." He looked down. He was ashamed. "Can I talk to you, Arthur, on the train? It's important." He was nervous. He looked around for security, for Marcus. "I cannot talk to you, Tom. You know that." "It's about your son," I said quietly. His blood drained. He looked like he would collapse. "It's about Marcus, and it's about your son." He nodded. "Once we got on the train, we sat in the quiet car. I did not threaten him. I laid out the facts. Marcus has been using Vance Global as a slush fund for years. You know this. You've been signing the transfers." Arthur stared at his hands. "He has you signing off on $10 million a year. He uses it to pay for his mistresses. He uses it to buy property. It's fraud, Arthur." I didn't know the specifics," he whispered. I manage the transfer. He handles the subsidiary." "I know," I said. "I also know he paid for your son's lawyer. I know he saved him, and he has held it over you ever since. You are not his CFO. You are his hostage." Tears welled in Arthur's eyes, a 60-year-old man in a gray suit crying on a commuter train. "He told me he would ruin him," Arthur choked out. "He said he would reopen the case. He said he would send him to prison. My boy. He's a good boy. He made a mistake." "I know," I said. I handed him a small USB drive. It was not our main drive. It was just a text file with a single name. "Who is this?"
He's an investigative
Arthur asked.
journalist.
"That's
He's
a
the best."
reporter,
I
Ben
leaned
Carter. "Marcus is going down, Arthur, with you or without you. Sarah Jenkins and I have enough. We have the invoices, we have the contracts, we can prove corporate waste. The board will fire him. The SEC will investigate. It will be messy. It will all come out, your son's case, your signature on the transfers. It will all be public." Arthur looked horrified. "But," I continued, "if you help us, if you give us the final piece, the bank statements for Vance Global, the proof that the money went to Marcus personally, then you are not the accomplice. You are the whistleblower. Ben Carter will protect you. You will get immunity. You will be the man who exposed him. You will save the company. You will save yourself." I stood up. The train was pulling into his station. "You have 24 hours, Arthur. Help us do this right. Be the good man you are." I got off the train. I did not look back. I did not know if I had just saved us, or if I had just warned Marcus that the end was coming. The next 24 hours were the longest of my life. I did not sleep. I sat in my apartment. I watched the door. I expected a knock. I expected the police. I expected Marcus's lawyers. Sarah and I had a protocol. If one of us was arrested, the other would send the main hard drive to Ben Carter immediately. It was a dead man's switch. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. My heart stopped. I answered. "Hello." "The main branch of the city library," a voice whispered. "The history section, 3rd floor, in the book on the Roman Republic. 1 hour." It was Arthur. He hung up. I raced to the library. I went to the 3rd floor, history. I found the book, The History of the Roman Republic. I opened it. Tucked inside was a slim USB drive. I put it in my pocket. I walked out. I did not run. I went to a different library, miles away. I used a public computer. I plugged in the drive. It was everything. It was the smoking gun. Bank statements for Vance Global for the last 5 years. It showed the $10 million coming in each year. It showed the $1.8 million going out to the consultants. And it showed the rest. Millions transferred directly, not to Alta Holdings, not to another shell, transferred to Marcus Vance. Personal accounts, brokerage accounts, payments for his penthouse, payments for a yacht, payments to a jeweler. He was not just skimming. He was emptying the account. He was stealing over $8 million a year for at least 5 years, over $40 million. He was robbing his own company blind, and Arthur Bell had kept the records. Arthur had given me the proof. My first thought, release it. Send it to the news. Send it to the police. Burn him to the ground. I called Sarah. I told her I had it. She was ecstatic. Let's do it. Let's call Carter. But I paused. This was the dilemma. If we just dump it, Marcus's lawyers will tie it up. They will claim the data was stolen. They will claim it was faked. Arthur Bell would be exposed. He would be ruined. Marcus might even escape. He would flee the country. He would take his money and disappear. A simple leak was not enough. This was not about revenge anymore. It was about justice. It had to be public. It had to be final. No, I told Sarah. Not yet. We have the weapon. Now we need to choose the battlefield. We need to make sure he cannot run. We need to make sure everyone sees him for what he is. At the same time, I looked at my calendar. In 2 weeks, Vance Capital was holding its annual shareholders meeting. Marcus's big day, his moment of triumph. That's it, I said. We do it then. We do it while he is on stage. We had to meet Ben Carter. I called the number Arthur gave me. A gruff voice answered. Carter. My name is Tom Fuller. I am the source Arthur Bell told you to expect. I have the bank statements. There was a pause. Where did you get this number? Carter asked. Arthur Bell, I repeated. He said you were the only one he trusted. He's right not to trust anyone, Carter said. Meet me tomorrow, 8 a.m., the old docks, Pier 5. Come alone, do not bring your phone. He hung up. The next morning I went to the docks. It was cold, foggy. Ben Carter was leaning against a piling. He was older than I expected. He looked like he had not slept in a decade. His coat was wrinkled. His eyes were sharp. You're Fuller, I nodded. Show me. I handed him the drive, the one from Arthur. He pulled out a rugged, specialized laptop. He plugged it in. He did not connect to any network. He reviewed the files. He was silent for 10 minutes. He scrolled. He read. He cross-referenced. Finally, he looked up. His expression was grim. This is comprehensive. It's $40 million at least, I said. He stole it from his own company. And you're the analyst he fired, Carter said. And your wife left you for him. This is a revenge fantasy, Fuller. Why should I believe this is real? Why should I believe you? Because Arthur Bell gave it to me, I said. The CFO. The man who has been signing these papers for 6 years, because he is terrified and he wants out, and because I have a partner, Sarah Jenkins, the HR head he fired 2 years ago. We have his fake payroll. We have the invoices. This isn't just one drive. This is a complete picture. We are giving you a $500 million company, Ben. We are giving you the CEO of the year. Carter stared at me. He was weighing the risk. If this is real, he said, it's the biggest story of my career. If it's fake, it ends my career, and I go to jail, so does Arthur. It's real, I said, and we have a plan. We don't just leak it, we time it. I told him about the shareholders meeting. In 2 weeks. A slow smile spread across Carter's face. The grand ballroom, while he's on stage giving his speech about record profits. While he's on stage, I confirmed. We post the story. We send the data to the SEC, the IRS, and the district attorney all at the same moment. He will be on a stage in front of his investors, in front of the press. He will have nowhere to run. Carter nodded. He'll be a rat in a glass box. I like it, but I have to verify. I have to do this my way. My team needs to vet every single file. We need to corroborate Arthur's story. We need to be 100%. You have 2 weeks, I said. Get it done. The next 2 weeks were a new kind of hell. It was the hell of waiting. Ben Carter and his team went to work. They were professionals. They moved Arthur Bell and his family to a safe house. They did not want Marcus getting to him. They verified the bank accounts. They confirmed the wire transfers. They had a source inside the Cayman Bank who confirmed the accounts belonged to Marcus Vance. Sarah and I met with Carter's team. We gave them our data, the fake contracts, the Alta Holdings invoices, my email from Marcus. They matched it all. It was a perfect, sealed case. He got arrogant, Carter told us in a debriefing. He started 5 years ago. It was small, a few $100,000, but he got greedy. The $10 million annual transfer, he just took it all. He believed he was untouchable. He believed you were all too stupid or too scared to stop him. I continued my night job. I stocked the shelves. I kept my head down. I felt like a spy. I was living two lives, the broke, humiliated grocery clerk, and the man who was about to burn down a financial empire. The day before the meeting, I got a call. It was Alina. I had not spoken to her in months. I had signed the divorce papers. It was final. Tom, her voice was small. I need to see you. I met her at a coffee shop, the same one where I first met Sarah. Alina looked thin, the expensive clothes hung on her. The polish was gone. She was pale. She had dark circles under her eyes. "What do you want, Alina?" I asked. He's angry," she whispered. "All the time he's on edge. He yells. Last night he threw a glass. It hit the wall near my head." I felt nothing. No anger, no sympathy, just cold. "You chose him," I said. "This is the life you wanted, the sailing, the red dresses." "I made a mistake, Tom," she said. Tears were in her eyes. "I know that now. He's not. He's not who I thought he was. He's cruel, and I think he's in trouble. He's on the phone all night with lawyers." "He is in trouble," I said. "Good," she whispered. "I hope he loses everything." She looked at me. "Tom, I'm sorry. I know I destroyed us. I was a fool. I was so stupid." "Yes, you were," I said. I stood up. "I have to go to work." "Tom, wait," she said. She grabbed my hand. Her hand was cold. Can I come home?" I looked at our hands, her perfectly manicured fingers on my rough, box-cutter-scarred knuckles. "There is no home, Alina. You and Marcus burned it down. You need to leave him, not for me. For you, get out before he takes you down with him." I pulled my hand away. I walked out. I did not look back. Ben Carter called me that night. "It's done," he said. "The story is written. The packages are ready for the feds. We have 3 sources inside the company who have confirmed the culture of fear. We have a forensic accountant who signed an affidavit. The district attorney is on standby. We have an arrest warrant ready to be signed, pending our data drop." It was all in place. Every I dotted, every T crossed. Sarah, Ben, and I had our final meeting. We were in the back room of Carter's newspaper office. It was a war room. "Here is the plan," Carter said. "The shareholders' meeting starts at 10 a.m. Marcus is scheduled to speak at 10:30. He likes to make an entrance. He will speak for 1 hour. My team will be in that room as press. At 10:45 a.m. exactly, our story goes live. It will hit every newswire. At the same moment, our packages are delivered to the SEC, the IRS, and the DA's office. The DA's team will be outside the hotel. They will move in." "What about us?" Sarah asked. "You too," Carter said, "are nowhere near that hotel. You are anonymous sources. Your names are not in the story. Arthur Bell is the official whistleblower. He is protected. You too. You just go home. You watch it on TV. You won, Tom. You both won." I should have felt triumphant. I should have been happy, but I just felt empty. It was over. The long, dark path I had been on, it was at an end. I had spent almost a year of my life dedicated to this, to his destruction, and now it was here. "What happens next?" I asked. "He goes to jail," Sarah said. "He loses everything. We get to live." I thought about Alina. I had given her a warning, a chance to get out. I hoped she took it, but she was not my responsibility, not anymore. I shook Ben's hand. I shook Sarah's hand. "Thank you," I said to her. "We did it." "We did it," she agreed. We walked out of the newspaper office. We did not say goodbye. We just walked in opposite directions. Our partnership was over. Our work was done. I did not go to my night shift. I called in sick. For the first time, I used my meager pay. I bought a good steak. I bought a decent bottle of wine. I went to my apartment. I cooked a meal. I sat at my small kitchen table. I ate. I thought about the last year, the man I was, the man I had become. I was not a victim anymore. I was not a ghost. I was not the man crying on his kitchen floor. I was not the man thrown onto the sidewalk. I was the man who had pulled the thread. I was the man who had patiently, methodically built the case. I had used my brain. I had used my skills, the skills Marcus had despised, the skills he thought were safe and boring. My quiet, analytical mind was the weapon he never saw coming. I had not become him. I did not use violence. I did not blackmail Arthur. I offered him a choice. I did not expose Alina. I warned her. I had used the truth. The truth was the one thing Marcus could not fight. He had built his empire on lies, on charm, on paper-thin charisma. I had just shown everyone the foundation was rotten. I finished my wine, I washed my plate, I went to bed. I fell asleep instantly. For the first time in a year, I slept a deep, dreamless sleep. I was at peace. The trap was set. The beast was walking into it. There was nothing left for me to do. I woke up at 9 a.m. The sun was streaming into my apartment. I made coffee. I turned on the local news. They were covering the Vance Capital shareholders meeting. It was the biggest business event of the season. The reporter was standing outside the hotel ballroom. An optimistic mood here today, as CEO Marcus Vance is expected to announce record-breaking profits. I sat on my sofa, I watched. At 10:30 a.m., the cameras inside the ballroom focused on the podium. Marcus Vance walked on stage. The room erupted in applause. He looked incredible. He was tan. His suit was perfect. He smiled. He waved. He looked like a king. He looked untouchable. He began his speech. He talked about vision. He talked about synergy. He talked about our incredible family at Vance Capital. I watched the clock on my wall. 10:40 a.m. 10:41 a.m. He was showing a graph. Profits were up 30%. The crowd loved it. 10:44 a.m. He was building to his conclusion. And that is why I can tell you with utter confidence that the future of Vance Capital is 10:45 a.m. His teleprompter went blank. Marcus paused. He looked confused. In the audience, a phone lit up. Then another. A woman in the front row gasped. A man's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His eyes went wide. He stood up. He pointed at Marcus. "Is this true?" he shouted. Marcus was lost. "Is what true?" Ben Carter, sitting in the press section, stood up. "Mr. Vance," his voice boomed, "our paper has just published a report based on your own company's bank statements that you have systematically embezzled over $40 million from Vance Global. Do you have a comment?" The room exploded. Marcus's face, it was a picture, the charm melted. The tan disappeared. He was white. He was a ghost. That is an outrageous lie," he stammered. "Security, remove this man." But the doors at the back of the ballroom opened. It was not hotel security. It was 2 police officers and a man in a suit, the district attorney. They walked down the aisle, straight toward the stage. Marcus saw them. He turned. He looked for an exit. There was none. He was on the stage, trapped. The cameras were all on him, every single one. He was a rat in a glass box. He backed away from the podium. He hit the screen. He was trapped. "Marcus Vance," the DA said, "you are under arrest for embezzlement, for wire fraud, for securities fraud." They walked up the steps. They put his hands behind his back. The click of the handcuffs was the loudest sound I had ever heard. The news feed was chaotic. People were shouting. Investors were screaming, "My money! You thief!" The officers led Marcus off the stage. He was not a king. He was just a 50-year-old man in a nice suit in handcuffs. He looked old. He looked small. He looked afraid. My phone lit up. It was Sarah. I answered. We did not say anything. We just listened. We listened to the sounds of his empire collapsing. We listened to the reporters shouting questions. We listened to the sirens. After a full minute, Sarah said one word. "Done." "Done," I replied. I hung up. The news anchor was back on screen. Her face was full of shock. "We are just getting this in. The story is staggering. Vance Capital CEO Marcus Vance arrested on stage at his own shareholders' meeting. The allegations are $40 million, a massive multi-year fraud." The stock ticker for Vance Capital VCAP appeared. It was a red line pointing straight down. Trading was halted. They cut to a press conference. The DA was at a podium. Ben Carter was in the front row. "Thanks to the brave actions of a whistleblower inside the company," the DA said, "we were able to uncover this massive scheme. Mr. Vance used his company as a personal piggy bank. He betrayed his investors. He betrayed his employees. He will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law." They showed Arthur Bell. He was standing next to the DA. He looked relieved. He looked like a man who had been holding his breath for 6 years. He was the hero. He was the man who saved the company. He had his redemption. The company itself was finished. It would be broken up. The assets would be liquidated. The pension funds would be paid back. But the Vance name was mud. Forever. I turned off the television. The apartment was silent again. But this silence was different. It was not empty. It was peaceful. It was the sound of an ending. The next few months were about rebuilding. The world was focused on the Vance trial. It was a media circus. I ignored it. I did not read the papers. I did not watch the news. It was not my fight anymore. I got a new job, a better job. My name was never mentioned. I was just an analyst. But the story of the Vance Capital takedown was legend in the data world. The firm that hired me knew who I was. They did not say it, but they knew. They hired me to run their entire data integrity department. They paid me double my old salary. They wanted the man who could find the unfindable. I sold my old apartment. I moved to a new neighborhood. I started over. I went to the gym. I started hiking. I saw Sarah one time. We passed on the street. She was with her family. She looked happy. She looked free. We nodded. A small, shared smile. We kept walking. Marcus Vance was found guilty on all counts. The judge was not kind. He was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. He would be an old man when he got out. He lost everything: his money, his company, his reputation. The day after his sentencing, I got a letter. It was from Alina. She had left the city. She had moved to the West Coast. She had a new job, a simple job. She was a marketing assistant at a small nonprofit. She said she was happy. She said she was sorry. She said she was glad I had warned her. She had left Marcus the night I spoke to her. She took one bag. She never looked back. She said she was finally stable. She was finally safe. I folded the letter. I put it in a drawer. I did not write back. One Saturday I was in the park. I was reading a book. It was a warm day. I felt a presence. I looked up. It was Arthur Bell. He looked older, but his eyes were clear. "Tom," he said, "I hoped I might find you here." I nodded. "Arthur, you look well." "I feel clean," he said. He sat on the bench, not too close. "I wanted to thank you. You did not just save me. You saved my son. You saved my family. You gave me a choice. You gave me my life back. You did the hard part, Arthur. You made the right choice." We sat in silence for a moment. "What will you do now?" I asked. "I'm retired," he said. "My wife and I, we are moving, going to be closer to the grandkids. The company is gone, the pension is gone, but I have my family. That's all that matters." He stood up. He offered me his hand. "You're a good man, Tom Fuller. Don't let this world change that." I shook his hand. It was a firm grip. He smiled. He walked away. I sat there for a long time. I watched the people in the park, families, kids, life. I had lost my wife. I had lost my job. I had lost a year of my life to anger, but I had found something else. I had found my own strength. I had found that I was not weak. I was not a victim. Marcus thought he was the predator. He was just a thief. He took things. He took my wife. He took my job. He took money. But I had taken his whole world. I did it. Not with a fist, but with a spreadsheet, not with a threat, but with the truth. I closed my book. I stood up. I walked home. I was finally free. Setting a boundary is hard. Seeking justice when you have no power seems impossible. They told me to move on. They told me to forget. I did not. I used the one thing he overlooked: my skill. I used the truth as a weapon. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt completely powerless against someone? How did you find your strength to fight back? Let me know in the comments.